Interrupting Bishop.
Interrupting
Our
Bishop.
Father. Been working on that for months. Bishop says it's worded. It is absolutely free. Thank you. Alongside us is Tim Backus, who will bring you a report from the field in just a moment. This is your majestic convention update. Chaos broke out on the floor of the 42nd Annual Diocesan Convention of the Episcopal Gulf Coast today when the Right Reverend Philip Duncan asked for a do-over. He was quoted as saying, Wait, you said restructuring resolution? Restructuring? I thought you said resurrection resolution. Obviously, I'd be for that one. This one I gotta think about.
The 42nd Annual Convention of the Episcopal Gulf Coast got underway on Thursday evening at the Majestic Beach Resort with a majestic opening Eucharist.
Yes, my line. Majestic? You thought the opening Eucharist was majestic?
Well, I don't really have a clue. I couldn't hear a thing. Except for the voice of some angels as the Holy Nativity Children's Choir led us. This reporter did make a few observations as the silent liturgy was acted out before us. The first thing I noticed was my watch. Unlike in years past, Bishop Pierre Whalen, our chaplain and preacher, knows how to preach the word expeditiously. Perhaps he did Virginia seminary training. Or the fact that he has to preach every sermon he preaches in 43 different languages. The second thing I noticed was my forehead, dripping with sweat from the temperature in the room. I wondered if that's how Bishop Duncan feels in a budget hearing. Finally, I noticed the altar setup and how wonderfully the Diocesan Altar Guild and Holy Nativity turned this hotel ballroom into sacred space. Only one could feel like a ballroom during the celebration of the Eucharist, when the altar looked like a wedding reception with the number of people crammed around that table. Still, it all seems so majestic.
And this just in from our World News Desk. When asked to comment on his retirement, Pope Benedict XVI was quoted as saying, "Well, I knew it was time for me to go when I heard that the Reverend Steve Bates was serving my ties to the Central Gulf Coast of the Majestic Beach Resort." I mean, they can get married, they can use birth control, and now this? We just can't compete.
Friday morning's business session followed the usual format. The convention organized for business by electing the Reverend Albert Kennington as secretary with seat and voice, a privilege he used later on in the proceeding to let us know in no uncertain terms that he does not accept laziness when it comes to the diocesan journey. One delegation who, unlike Father Kennington, we will not call out by name, was overheard by saying, "What if we don't really like our new rector? Can we just keep our old parochial report forever?" Speaking of being scolded during the Friday morning business session, the 5-year plan czar, facilitator, Dr. Mandy Henderson, did a fine job reminding us that our mission really is just a bunch of action items on an Excel spreadsheet. While not every congregation immediately filled out a survey after she completed her remarks, our news desk has received the written copy of her report and warns you of the final 2 sentences that she did not say. If you don't move your hands and feet toward that 5-year plan, you will lose them. We have ways of making you fill out these surveys.
And now we take you live to our field reporter, the Reverend Tim Backus.
Father Steve, Father Anthony, pleasure to be with you guys as always.
Welcome to the conversation, Tim. Allow me to jump right in. What's the story out there? It looks like you are in some kind of line.
Well, correct you are. It's not just any line that you may recognize. I'm actually bringing you action live, reporting from the middle of the communion line at the opening Eucharist.
That was 2 days ago. Hey,
Yeah, how are you able to report
let
live?
me pause for a second here.
Well, actually similar to our rules of order, that just doesn't matter.
Well said, Father Backus.
All right, back to communion. I thought that there were 2 stations. Why is everyone in the same line?
Well, you're correct. I remember hearing 2 stations as well. Now, here's the thing. I believe it all started when Father Steve Bates announced right prior to communion that it may be confusing, so just follow the clergy. Snickers, whispers, laughter was heard all throughout the majestic nave, especially from the back. Now, while I couldn't make out what most people were saying, one audible voice that I did happen to catch was saying this: follow the clergy? Say what? I ain't got time for that.
Tim, it seems like you've already received the body and blood. Why are you still in line?
Why? Are you kidding me? Now, that first station, this is interesting. The first station just, it seems to flow, feed right in to that second station. Now, I figured no one was going to notice if I just moved on into that second station. But here it is. Let me give it to you straight. That was the best darn tasting body of Christ I think I've ever had.
That was like Chris Cracker.
Alright guys, I'm going to hit this second. My time's coming up. Oh, here we go.
What's that guy up to?
Miss Backus, you never know.
That's actually after I do this part, Steve and Anthony. So let's pause a second.
Yeah, sure.
Do it. Please, please. Wiping my mouth with that purificator. Oh, wait a second, guys. Hold on. I'm going to have to get back to you. I've seen this glorious, this golden opportunity which is just unfolded in front of my eyes. Let me explain more later.
All right, we'll come back to you later.
What's that guy going to do?
Backus, you never know.
This just is from the Majestic Beach Resort Management. They have 3 things that they need to address with us. First, the people that bring food to you in your rooms are called room service. They are not to be called servants. Second, tipping them is expected. And third, while we had heard rumors about you Episcopalians, we vastly underestimated the sheer volume of wine that it would take to sustain you for 2 nights. Please bear with us as we go out of the county, you exhausted to the whole supply.
In his annual address to convention, Bishop Phil Duncan seemed to steer a little more theological than in years past. This reporter found one quote to be particularly intriguing. The integrity of salvation is God, the bishop said. Let me repeat that. The integrity of salvation is God, but the agency of salvation is ours. Having wished that perhaps the bishop would have spelled out a little further what he meant by salvation, I was thrilled to hear that Beckwith Campus Retreat Center has found salvation. Its name is Credo.
A new day has been announced in the Episcopal Diocesan of the Central Gulf Coast when it was decided today that a task force would be created to ferret out all low church influences from the diocese. First target was the Reverend D. Hankey's design of the What We Believe section of the new diocesan website, which has the Bible listed first. When asked to comment as task force chair, the Reverend Peter Wong said, "Well, we're Episcopalian, so obviously the Book of Common Prayer should come first." Other changes.
20 volunteers gathered in a humid breezeway to pack 40,000 meals for the Sudan, the DR, Haiti, and elsewhere to stop hunger now. The Reverend Susan Douglas was over here at the gala saying, "That might have been the best thing Diocesan Convention has ever done." But don't you think that the bishop wearing a hairnet was maybe a little wishful thinking on his part? When asked for further comment, Bishop Duncan replied, "In 2003, people sent me finger sandwiches and tea on silver platters. In 2013, the budget cuts have created a real situation where bivocational ministries are a stark reality. And I want to make sure that I'm properly equipped to serve hamburgers, fries, and a drink. Besides, my boss at McDonald's says I have to wear a hairnet no matter what."
This just in, once again, from the Majestic Beach Resort Management. Unfortunately, due to the off-season nature of your convention, we have failed to anticipate the greater need for cleaning staff for this convention. You will all be forced to clean your own rooms, which goes nicely along with the Majestic slogan, "No hand, no feet, but yours."
More news coming from the Secretary's desk. Reverend Albert Kennington wishes to remind us all that any report, this joke doesn't work anymore. I'm going to laugh in a minute anyway. Wanted to remind us that any report that isn't handed in writing before the close of this convention will be like the diocesan youth facilitator. They won't exist. But now they do. Huzzah!
It was an all-star intercontinental affair at the 2013 Annual Convention of the Central Gulf Coast that included the Right Reverend Bishop Peter Whalen, Primate of the Episcopal Convention of Europe, as the celebrant and preacher at the Majestic Convention services. He regaled us with stories of growth in the European Church and the difficulty of conducting services in other languages, including the newly added Polish service. When asked to comment, the Reverend Chris Coates of Holy Spirit in Gulf Shores, Alabama, said, "I don't know what he's bragging about. Has he ever had to do a redneck wedding?" I don't think so.
In a stunning example of a committee taking a year to do what a few half-witted middle schoolers could do in an afternoon, the Diocesan Communications Transition Task Force finally offered their report to this convention. Communication problems still seem to plague this diocese, however, as a hastily thrown together Resolution 4 was passed this year, officially changing the canons of the diocese from saying that the annual journal of record must be published to allowing information to be disseminated in a giant game of whisper down the lane. When asked for comment, the Reverend Albert Kennington passed word on to Ms. Curry, Diocesan Administrator, Assistant Secretary, and Assistant Treasurer, who whispered to me, "Bacon, schmedlap, hillbilly buttocks." I have no idea what that means.
Steve, I would like to take a moment to thank one of our sponsors of this convention, the Tattoo Parlor across the road. Last night, after a few hours in the hospitality suite, I took advantage of their offer of a free permanent tattoo to match the bishop's Episcopal shield on his neck.
Anthony, that's the bishop's tattoo was a temporary one. Wow. Let's tune back in and see if we can get
That's where I handed the field. Tim, welcome back.
Thank you for welcoming me.
I see you are huddled with a bunch of others. Can you bring us up to speed, good sir?
So, there I was, after enjoying the second holy body within my body. There it was. I saw this glorious opportunity which arose. It was back in the back. It wasn't just one station, not two. I'd almost forgot. There were two other stations in the back. And they wouldn't know if I received or not. So I traveled back to the back and a little bit more of that body. Yeah, so here's the thing. So I thought I was just going to go back to the seat as normal when I was heading back from Capitas. Just to say some prayers, maybe give thanks for the goodness of Jesus. But before I could sit down, as I said, my prayers were absolutely answered.
Really? How so, Tim?
Well, as I said before, there are two more stations in the back, and they have no idea I've already received.
Nice. You should really read your own script, Tim. Partaking. Mr. T.
All right, seriously. Now, you can never have too much Jesus. Am I right? Am I right? Amen. All right, now one sec. All right, I'm going in. Pray for me now. Now, I'll see if I can snag one for you too, Anthony. The bishop doesn't know I've already been through the line. How can I disguise myself? Just make sure he doesn't know it was me. I'll put on a shirt. That'll trick him. All right, Anthony, this is yours.
Oh, don't do it, Bacchus. Bacchus?
All right, give me a second for me to put the shirt on, and I'll give you a line. Okay. All right, this was for you, Anthony. All right, give me a second. Okay, does it recognize me? Doesn't know I'm here? Here it is, in my hands. I know it's for Anthony, but gosh, the child's is going to come any minute. But it's right here in my hands, it's on my fingertips. I love you, body, so much. This is for Anthony.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Anthony, I don't know if I can done right.
Oh, that little weasel.
Where's that challenge?
That's not good.
Where's the bishop? Where's the bishop?
It's going downhill fast, Steve. Get in there and get him out.
Easy, Bacchus, easy.
That bread is just so good and so delicious. There are only 4. Oh, there's a whole pack. There's a whole pack.
Somebody grab him. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah. That greedy little father.
Right. Now, that's it. I got lots of jokes. Let's keep going. One final story from the Secretary's desk. The Reverend Albert Kennington would like to remind everyone that he's selling the bishop's personal diary for $10. TNT and People Magazine have both prepared cover stories, and I purchased advanced copies of the text, reporting on such salacious details as booze rules and preachers packing heat, the truth about guns in church. Speaking of firearms and sacred space, sources are telling us that the vocational deacons have requested a meeting with Bishop Duncan following this convention. Details of that meeting remain sketchy at this point, but there seems to be some call for letters dimitory so that they all can go be deacons en masse in Arkansas. Apparently the new guns in church legislation in that state has created quite is particularly excited to Packy, as he was once heard practicing his best Clint Eastwood. Go ahead, punk. Make my day.
An exciting new plan for church growth has been announced in the Diocese of the Central Gulf Coast by the Commission on Structure and Construction. When asked what the plan was, Commission head Reverend Bailey Storman Norman was quoted as saying, "Tornadoes." When asked how much this plan would cost, he said, "I don't know, mine was a Christmas gift." When pushed for specifics, he said, "Well, as you must know, there is a plan for getting new stained glass windows that involves meteors. We are currently in consultation with our Russian Orthodox brethren now on how to best implement that plan."
Thanks, Dan. That's a good reporting. Tornadoes as a church growth mechanism is becoming a very popular ministry option for churches all throughout Mobile. True to his nature, the Reverend Jim Flowers of All Saints Parish has decided to take it to another level. You may have noticed that Father Flowers hasn't been here this weekend. Our sources tell us that he has been systematically tearing the roof off of his parish. When asked why he was undertaking such a ridiculous project, Jim shouted from the peak, "No hands, no feet, but mine!"
And in a rare, behind-the-scenes glimpse of how a convention is planned out, we at the Convention News Desk have been granted an exclusive look at the top 5 rejected convention names. Yes, the theme this year was no hands, no feet, but ours, but these are the top 5 rejected themes. Number 5, no 5-year plan, no Gestapo, but Mindy Henderson. Number 4, no secretary, no encyclopedia, but Albert Pennington. Number 3, our children's choir is cuter than your children's choir. Number 2, the fog. And the number 1 rejected convention theme of 2013 was no good-looking front, no eye candy, but massy gentry.
Speaking of majestic gentry, massive gentry has an air conditioner unit, you may have heard about it. Several strong men and women eager to show off attempted to move Matthew's air conditioner after a couple of drinks at last night's gala, but they were unsuccessful. But some sources close to Matthew are wondering if maybe he should forget the whole thing and sell it off for scrap. Having spoken to Matthew myself, I can assure you he won't give up that air conditioner until and unless it becomes an action item on the 5-year plan. Then you will know that all hope is lost. 2 final news stories. According to my sources, the according to my sources, the Diocesan Altar Guild has decided to speed up the distribution of communion during the closing Eucharist. Wafers will be distributed via confetti gun, and the wine via a fire hose. No word yet on whether or not the bishop will mumble in Latin as the events unfold. And now finally, the Committee on Courtesy wishes to thank the Reverend Steve Bates, the entire staff, vestry, convention committee, and congregation of Holy Nativity, Panama City, for their hospitality.